Hello, my name is Wakata, and welcome back to Pixel Perfect, episode 57. Now, I know that you might have been thinking, isn't this supposed to be the episode about starting turbo motors? Well, I'm sure that by whatever title I come up with or thumbnail that happens to come along, you know this isn't. You see, Papa V might have made a slight mistake. Not really a mistake, oversight. Tiny, minuscule, ever so slight oversight. And not entirely my fault, but maybe you could have seen it coming. You see, over the past couple of episodes when we were working on our heat sinks, we were also going through hard drives trying to find not only the alternate for the heat sinks, but for our turbo motors. And it was stubbornly not giving it to us. Now, we did eventually get the heat sink recipe, but neither of the alternates for turbo motors came up, making me feel a little suspicious that something was going on. And I've done some research since then, and it turns out that some recipes, or most recipes, I guess, the alternates cannot be unlocked for them if a subcomponent within the alternate recipe also is not unlocked. So in this case, the recipe that we're going for is going to have the pressure cubes, which is something we haven't unlocked yet. Therefore, not allowing the MAM to give us one as a random for our hard drives. Now, this is not always the case. In fact, I'm pretty sure that during our massive string of hard drives that we unlocked, we saw, I think it was a motor or a rotor alternate, one of which that took the electromagnetic control rods, which we definitely also do not have unlocked. So that might be a bug, that's not supposed to be a thing, but one way or another, unfortunately it looks like turbo motors just aren't available to us yet. Okay, well, we can handle that. It does mean that we're going to spend another episode doing some other things, but that's fine because there are a ton of other things to do and we can always find a way to keep ourselves busy. So let's cut to the brand and I'll meet you at the hub where we're going to need to do some unlocking, and then we're going to have a bunch of stuff that we're going to have to run around and do. So this is still going to be an action-packed episode, I promise. All right, in for a skidding landing. Okay, so, again, we're going to be all over the place in this episode. We have a lot to do, but it's going to be scattered, kind of scatterbrained. And the reason really is because we have things that are going to take time, and it's a good philosophy in this game that if something takes time, you find something else to do while that thing is taking time. We're talking about machines, things processing. We'll get back to I say this every episode. We'll get back to this eventually. But today's primary issue, the reason why we're not doing turbo motors or starting the project yet, is because of the realization that we cannot unlock the alternate for turbo motors, which requires pressure conversion cubes, until pressure conversion cubes themselves are unlocked. So even though we're not looking for an alternate for the cubes, we can't get the alternate for the turbo motors that we've already unlocked until this is unlocked. Now, unfortunately, this takes a bunch of stuff that we aren't making. We're not making electromagnetic control rods, we're not making cooling systems, and obviously we're not making turbo motors because that's the project we want to engage in very soon. So we're going to have to kind of bend our policies. We say we don't handcraft for progress, and we're still not going to. We are, however, going to set aside some very small manufacturing that will not be our full-fledged manufacturing for these products. And if we do that, then we get away with not building up the supply lines to them. Just whatever trickle feed comes in from our overflows will be fine. And that's going to start with the electromagnetic control rods, because again, we're going to need them here, which means we need to unlock nuclear power to get access to them. As you can see, I already have the materials in hand, so let's do that now. Boop, boop, boop. All right. And let's take a ride on the little drone here.
Milestone reached.
Let's talk about what we're going to do kind of next. So, Riley, I need to talk. we have another problem. We have a problem that we've seen come and go, and we've kind of tried to mitigate a little bit here and there, and we warned that it would continue to be a problem, possibly, and it has proven itself to be a problem again, which is our train station. Oh, I missed the jump. All right, well, I was going to fly to the station, but you know what? It looks like we're going to just take the tube. It's not landing in a tree. Ooh. All right, that's close. Also, well, I guess while we're at it, well, 2 or 3 episodes ago, off screen, I actually fixed this tube twice over. So first of all, it's no longer floating because there used to be things floating over the connection points. I moved those. Also, I moved the entrance to it because we kept running into it. You see that little hole right there in that wall? I left it there so I could talk about this, and then I just forgot to. So every time we would come down this tube from upstairs, we'd get sucked into that one, which would take us that way, and we'd turn around and come back. Sometimes this one also would get us. So I moved it to the side, and I guess I can just go ahead and remove this now, because now I've talked about it. All right, now the reason we were coming over here was the train station. As you can see, train's not moving. Yeah, train's not moving. Let's switch over to our backpack, our hover pack. Get our way up here. Now the problem is we've reworked these intersections over and over again in an attempt to make them long enough for trains to get through. So there used to be a blocking signal right here, where this was its own isolated intersection. That made that line right there not long enough for a train to park in, which meant the train could park into this intersection, blocking everything else. Well, by pushing that back, that now means this intersection is not long enough. As you can see, this train is now hanging out into another intersection. Now, off camera, I have done a lot of moving these things around in an attempt to get them to work, and we just can't. This is a problem that we cannot solve by just moving signals. We have too many trains coming through here now that they now can get congested, and so we need to fix this. So first, before we do that, let's move this guy right here. Just kind of get him out of the way. Turn back on. This may or may not be sufficient to unclog it, but we start getting some movement because, you know, our factory needs things moving. Otherwise, stuff starts backing up. So, like, this is perfect. You see, that's the maximum length that we need. Look at that right there. Look at that, how close that is. So that is exact. The problem is that that's now too short. So we have 2 options. Oh, and trains collided. They were both so eager to come out. As soon as it went green, they both came out at the same time, and they ran into each other. All right, let's write that one back up and turn it back on. That's the small one, so we'll let it get through. And that, when we if you saw it out of the corner of the screen, the engine got thrown off the edge. All right, let's reroute the train. Turn it back on. Now, hopefully, this will start running. So we have probably 2 options here. I've been spending a lot of time staring at this thing, thinking about it, and trying to come up with a good solution. Now, the probable best solution is to move the stations further out that way. That would give us more room to, you know, lengthen this track. And by doing so, we could isolate it once again from this intersection, which would lengthen that intersection again long enough for one train to fit in it. So that would solve our problem. But that is kind of a last-ditch effort, because if we move these stations, you know how many trains we have coming through here? That means we have to reprogram every single train. We have to reprogram, you know, each of the stations to make sure they're loading or unloading properly. We have to redo all of the belts that's above and below. And of course, with all the trains, that means not only do we have to reassign them to the new stations, but we have to reprogram what they do at those stations. And they're very complex trains at this point. I don't want to have to do this. This is a multi-hour project, and I don't want to have to do it, but we might have to. First attempt is going to be, however, to move this intersection back. Now, there's not a lot of room to work with here. We don't need a lot of space, but if we can push this back and then move this whole line over, we might be able to get away with it. Now, I've had this intersection over here before, but we aren't able to properly move these and turn them back in if we're using this line. So this line itself has to be extended over and then come straight down, as opposed to using the existing line. We can't kind of S-turn it over here. So that's what we're going to try to do first. And if it doesn't work, maybe we move this entire rail over to give us more space. We'll see. This is going to be my first attempt. If it doesn't work, then we're going to move the stations. So I'm going to do that off camera, and I'm going to do that real soon. But before I do that, I want to set up a couple of manufacturers over here. We need to get those electromagnetic rods going, because it's going to be just the overflow of the products it requires. It's not going to impact any of our manufacturing. And we're just going to need to store up enough for getting the unlock. And I think we might need them for something else, just a little bit. But we'll go over that after we get them all set up. And then the third thing we're going to do today, we're going to fix that. We're going to do those. The third thing is we're going to go back over to the Christmas area, which is also our space elevator construction area. And we're going to work on more space elevator parts, because now we'll have them all unlocked. All right, let me get a manufacturer up. Let me start fixing that, and I'll show you all the progress when it's all ready to be presented. All right, I hope that this has got the train station fixed. Now, I have some other ideas I'm going to maybe look into later on. Now, this train's not moving because this is a dummy train. It doesn't actually do anything. I put it there for a measuring stick. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that is the max length of any of our trains. As you can see, it is on the gray section here. It's before that point and does not extend into that intersection. So that is absolutely important, because that means it can pull up here and not block the trains that are trying to leave the station. And that's ultimately what we were getting into. That was the problem we were getting into. Now, the shortest route along here is this one right here, that a train could actually stop, because it could stop and wait for a train to leave that station. The leftmost station, of course, is not an issue, because there's only one train that uses it, and it's our personal train, so it can never get stuck. You see more than enough space for this to fit entirely on there. If one's going to that far one, obviously it has even more track. So that should be fine. So we're going to leave this for now. I've spent some time sitting here staring at it. I haven't seen anything get congested or deadlocked. There is congestion. We're okay with congestion. We're not okay with deadlocks. So that allows us to move on to our next thing. Now, I did put a assembler down here. It's going to very slowly be working on the rods. As you can see, they're coming along. Probably haven't been very many made. Nope. That's all right. We only need like 100 for the moment. That's okay. Now, what we want to do next is we want to start addressing space elevator stuff, and that is that's a big deal. And if you've watched my past episodes, you've seen how I address space elevator parts. I bring together all the smaller components, and then we do a exact manufacturing offsite. And when we set up for the the active director system, let's see, assembly director system. When we did this one, of course, this was a major project. We used this area under the warehouse, which is why we have it in the first place, to store up a bunch of different things that we were going to need that we're already manufacturing for the assembly director system. In fact, you can see we still have some signs left here that I didn't take down. This is where we needed 12.5 storages worth of the stators. And in this case, we actually converted our encased industrial beam facility out in the desert to make more stators for us. and we still just have stuff here. And we just siphoned off of, you know, the supply above, so that it overflowed into here, and just over time they all stored up. And that was true for everything else, you know, the heavy modular frames and supercomputers and computers and whatnot. Now, of course, all this is done for the assembly director system. It is not done, and we're going to go over there and check on it, but all the products that we need to store for it are done. So I want to bring up the spreadsheet, because we have now unlocked more products that we can do for a space elevator. Hello there, friendly old spreadsheet. Now, I have kind of cleaned up our space elevator tab a bit. We're going to ignore this as the old style, because we're already done with the assembly director systems, or at least the getting everything together, so we don't care about any of this. These are our last three products here: the magnetic field generator, the thermal propulsion rocket, and the nuclear pasta, which I did not color. No, that's not color. There we go. Okay. And I've done all the math that we need to do relative to the product lines. Now, I haven't put in all the formulas here for the per machine thing. I'm not worried about that right now. What we're worried about is how many we need of everything. So for the magnetic field generator, we're going to require electromagnetic control rods, which we just set up that little trickle feed over on the side. So we're not going to worry about this one. This one, we're going to skip it. We're going to skip over to the thermal propulsion rocket, because this requires all of these things, which we are making, except of course the turbo motor, which we will be making. That's the project we'll be working on while we're storing up the stuff for this. So we're going to go over this real quick. Like, the thermal propulsion rocket requires the modular frame, which is a space elevator item. And again, we don't do those as a standard manufacturing line, so it has its own dedicated block. And the modular frames require smart plating, which again is a space elevator only thing, so it has its own block. And for the 1,000 thermal propulsion units, this is what we're going to require of everything: turbo motors, cooling systems, and fused modular frames. Again, we are not making cooling systems yet either, but they are a manufactured item that we will be producing. And if we just go down the line, the modular engines, we're going to require 2,500 of them. Which translates over to here. All of this maths itself out to tell us that we need 37.5 thousand rubber, 5,000 smart plates, which brings itself over here. You see it's a little formula. And then for reinforced iron plate, we only require 2,500, because it only takes one for every two. Rotors, we're only going to need 2,500. That's super simple. Plastic, super simple. We're going to use an alternate recipe for smart plating, because, you know, we had to unlock all of those recipes trying to get to the heat sinks, and we ended up picking up some alternates for space elevator parts along the way, so you know, avoiding the other things that were even worse, like charcoal. So all of these things are within grasp. So I want to start putting these things aside in preparation for this being our next space elevator project. Again, we will be doing turbo motors as our next big project, and we are going to need to put a side feed for cooling systems to unlock the last milestone anyway. So we're going to have a trickle feed of this as well. So this we're going to be able to kind of start storing more or less right now. So let's start prepping these containers. So we said we're going to need 1,000 fused modular frames. These are heavy modular frames. However, this line here is fused modular frame. I actually have 1,000 of them already set aside. That was actually for something else, but it just ended up being exactly 1,000. So that works out. We already have that stored. We're going to need 5,000 motors. So motors are probably, okay, right there. So we'll just siphon off of this line. Let's see, where is our output going to be? That's going to go out the window. disconnect that for now. This was a conveyor belt for emptying this? Yes. So all that went to trash, so this can be changed. Let's change this to motors. Actually, I think it says we're gonna need 5,000 motors. Let's do motors here. We'll just direct feed them. Turn that around. And let's grab that. I know it's gonna be redundant having the picture in two places, but it's a little easier when I'm running down the line just to take a look and see. No, I'll tell you what, let's do this. Let's copy, paste. It's so much easier. And copy, and paste. All right, so we'll change that once we know how many motors fit in one storage. And we're going to, all right, that's already broken up. We're going to assume it's going to require two storages. We said the motors are right here. They are. Let's grab ourselves a little, nope, not a pipeline. Splitter. And we don't need to do overflow because motors aren't going anywhere anyway. In fact, we could, let's just do this. We don't even need to have that. There we go. And just wrap it around. Just like that. Okay, and that's temporary, so I'm not worried about it. Are we using motors at home at all? I think we are. Nope, it's not going anywhere. So the speed at which we take from the motors isn't going to be a big deal. Now we are using them here at home. We're not using them from the warehouse. So everything that ends up in the warehouse is an overflow. So we can bump that up a little bit there. And this is what we're going to do for all of the products. And we don't have to wait for this to fill up to figure out how many it's going to store because of our nice little mod that shows, the container signs. That shows that this is going to store 2,400 of them. We need 5,000, so we need 2 full storages and 200. So I'm not going to dedicate an entire storage to just 200 more. We can pocket those later. But that'll get us to 48, so that's perfect. So we're going to do this. We need two. Oops. And there won't be any remaining because they'll be full. So we'll say extra needed 200. And we're going to set this to 0 because right now we have none. And it is not done. There we go. There we go. And motors. So simple enough. And we will do this for, oop, that does not look good, does it? Okay. What? Okay, it's extra need. We'll call it extra need. That saves us a line. There we go. Very good. Very good. Okay. We're just going to let that run. That completely takes care of that product for us. Now we have, of course, the fuse modular frames, which are already over here. We want a sign. Let's do this. Remind ourselves that we really only need the 1K because the 1 is one full container. In this case, we don't need a full container. Otherwise, we would just do, we'd say remaining, because it holds 2,400, we'd say remaining 1,400. But since we already have it stored, we're just going to say that's done. Now we're going to need 37,500 rubber. That's a little bit more of an ask. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to feed rubber right out the window and start putting that straight on the train station. Where is our overflow rubber? Right here. Okay. So we are using rubber. So what we're going to do is smart split on this one. And we will do overflow. And I'm just going to pick a random window. And then we'll go outside and we'll figure out where that's going, and that will be fine. Then we need rotors and plastic. We aren't actually bringing plastic here, so we'll get that from a different station. And rotors right there. One container is probably enough for rotors. We need 2,500. It'll probably store 2,400. Let's see what the numbers come out to. 4,800. Okay, that's a lot more than we need. So one. And we said 4,800, which means we'll have 2,300 extra. Okay. All right, so we're just gonna let that slowly siphon off, and I'll come back and check on it at some point. And once I see that it's over the target number, in fact, let's do 2.5. Just easy for me to remember when I come back by, and then I'll level it off. But I think that's everything. In this location, reinforced iron plate, I'll take care of that. Actually, we don't actually, I think, need to set that aside because we store so much of that as part of our regular, side storage for, belting. Like this is already an extra because we have regular storage for it all the way over there. This is our, quick access line because all these are belting materials. Let's see how there we go. That'll top off a stack. There we go. And we'll set that aside and just send it all to the station. Okay, this is Volcata from the future. I know, it doesn't look like it's from the future because the clip that you're about to see starts right here. We're about to tackle a bunch of stuff here related to space elevator stuff. The recording ran very long. So this isn't, something I want to focus too much on, though I don't want to skip it. So there might be some weird skips and edits in the next coming segment because I'm going to have to cut something out somewhere. And then just, blame me for being a bad YouTuber. Just, poor time management, I guess. I always just want to hang out and talk to you guys and let you know what's going on. It's education with entertainment. Whatever was cut out, if it didn't make sense, stop by the comment section, ask questions, and I promise I will explain it. So, back to the video. All right, back to the Christmas district. Oh, I've so got to clean all that up. It's a dreadful sight. Marring up our beautiful Santa Claus area. Let's see here. Actually, my wings aren't working. Try that again. There we go. All right. So this is the penultimate step, the second to last step of the assembly director system, where we are manufacturing the adaptive control units. And we were, what's the math here? Producing 8,000 of them. Now I have been out here previously to check on it, and these were already full, so I've disconnected the connections between them, the lifts, so that there isn't any product, sitting on the lift, so that we get exact numbers. As you can see, 1,200 there, and then 24, 24, and 1838. So let's see here. It's 48, right? 98. It's really exactly 1,000. Wait a minute. 48. Oh my. Math on camera. 48. 5,000, 6,000. So 6,000, 7,840. So we need what, 60 more, something like that? And 1,600 more, 160 more? Okay. I mean, we are very close to this being done. And then the last step will be to combine all of these with supercomputers and some assemblers. So we have this assembler grid already here from our, previous manufacturing. We should have supercomputers sitting around here somewhere because we definitely stored them all. Let's see. That looks like them right there. Excellent. So let's start getting these routed. What is our input? Okay, looks like that was inputting to the line previously. That means we can just plug into this. That should be input right there. It is. Okay, perfect. We'll just take, let's see here. That's going up. That means it's coming out. That is not the right direction. What? Oh yeah, because we need to reverse it. Got it. Perfect. Perfect. We'll remove this and we'll flop it back down so that we can have, let's see, do we have supercomputers on us? We do. We have exactly one stack. All right. So because we're going to pick up this, which will, of course, add a few of them to our inventory. We don't want. So now we're going to reverse the flow so that top goes to the bottom. And okay, that's so. Oh, the bottom one wasn't full, right? Because we didn't need exactly 2 containers worth of it. Okay, perfect. Excellent, excellent. So we'll put the 4 back that was on the belt. Grab output. We'll dido around this sink here. And that will just pass on through and it'll start to fill this up. Now, we probably, let's just cut this out. Probably don't need that many for what we're doing here. But we're gonna need to switch this over. So close, we're so close. Where is it? Assembly director system, all the way at the bottom, isn't it? There it is. Copy. And just paste our way across. I should have said paste. Why did I not say paste? Why are you not pasting? Paste. Copy worked, didn't it? See, copy. I must be hitting the wrong button. It's working now. Paste, paste, paste. And I'll come back and do some math and decide whether or not we want to use the other side, but we probably don't need to. And we'll just send them off to wherever we were storing them. I think what we're going to do is just grab one of these, because we do need 4,000 of these, so we're probably going to need a few containers worth. So we probably will end up using that other side. But for now, let's just do this. This is good enough to get it up and running. So these are now set up to make our final product once we have the adaptive control units shifted over. And you can see with the rates, right? 0.75, 1.5, so the belt speeds are not going to be an issue. And they're all yellow because they're not getting supplies. They are already powered, so that's perfect. And we'll just wait until that's all done, and we'll run it around. We probably won't even make any other storages. We'll probably just run it. All right, so let's head back home, check on our cooling systems and our rods, and get our next thing unlocked. So let's check down here on our production for turbo motors. We just need 100 of them. All right, that's just about done. Excellent. In fact, probably means, let's see, yeah, we have an imbalance in the manufacturers. That's perfectly fine. All right, while he's out, we did an exact number thing. That's a thing, you know. Boop, 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 boop. You also notice all of these shards. I was thinking, I don't carry shards on me normally. And I was like, didn't we use some shards when we were making fireworks during Christmas? And boy, were we. I went back to Christmas land. Like I said, I've been all over the place. And I found 25 shards in those, just the firework machines. Because we were trying to get that done before the Christmas event ended, and then that recipe would no longer be available. So we had to turbocharge a bunch of those machines to get it all done. So we made a bunch of shards. So that will finish up the 100 turbo motors that we need. We need also 400 of the cooling and 100 of the rods. And we definitely got the 100 rods. Excellent. Oh, perfect. Perfect. We actually needed 800 of them because we needed 400 of them to make the turbo motors. So yeah, lots of stuff have been going on. Excellent. So that should be everything. Excellent. Let's go back to the hub. Take the express route. It's over here now. Boop. It's so much faster going downhill. This is like bobsledding. I bet bobsledding is fun. Pull back a little bit, slow down. And the final thing. Oh no! We needed 400 rods, not 100. Okay. Well, let's do this. Let's get this stuff out of our inventory. We didn't have enough room for it anyway. So we need 300 more rods and 200 fused modular frames. Just a second here. I'll be right back. All right, I think we got it all now. Fused modular frames, rods, and the final milestone. All right, we got to ride this because it's the last one.
Accelerator enables previously impossible processes such as recycling
It's
nuclear
gone.
waste and converting it into plutonium, as well as the generation of exotic matter.
We got
A
denied.
new project part enables progress to the next phase.
Sad panda. Okay. That's everything, right? That's, I mean, obviously this thing, but do we have it on us? Okay. Counter limiter. Oh, we can't. Now it's stuck in the corner. Can we unselect it? All right, well, fine. It'll stay there in the corner. Now we should be able to unlock the alternate recipe for the turbo motor that we're looking for, and we can actually potentially start the project. So that's exciting. We just need to go to the MAM. I think, in fact, we still had one left over last time, didn't we? Nope. Okay. I could have swore we had one left over. Anyway, let it run. I don't think we have anything else that we need to do for this episode. We just need to get this to do its thing, which means, I need to busy myself with other stuff, make sure that the rubber and stuff is delivering properly, and I'll make sure that we have, that we're collecting everything we need for our next space elevator stuff, because we got most of it now being routed, so that we're preparing for that. It's going to take a little while to get the 37,000 rubber that we need for it, but that's the whole point, right? We started it before we needed it, and we have that supplemental coming in from the new place anyway, so that won't be a problem. It's not going to strain our production, so that's going to be perfect. But wow, yeah, I came in here just to click on that, and I just realized we've done everything. We've done everything. We've got the space elevator stuff prepared. We've got all the extra things that we need on the side, so we get the last milestone done, and we fixed our train station. We did all kinds of stuff. Normally I know when I'm coming back here that I'm coming here for the outro. I didn't realize it this time. It feels kind of weird. All right, so I guess this is it. Thank you very much for coming out. I'm going to spend time between episodes making sure that we've got everything organized and prepared to see whether or not we can actually start our turbo motors project on the next episode. I keep getting blindsided by something I didn't expect. I still have to successfully unlock the alternate recipe, but as long as this was the only roadblock, then that shouldn't be a problem. And just gonna double check a little bit of the math to make sure our supply lines are okay. But the one of the big deals about this next project is that it's going to be more or less fully self-contained. I don't want it to pull on any of our existing supply lines. We're going to build turbo motors from the ground up. That means we're not taking from the warehouse, we're not taking from existing manufacturing other areas other than nitrogen gas, but we're still taking that in its raw form. We have a ton of that at the nitrogen gas plant. But we're literally going to build this from the ground up. We're going to probably bring in raw, like ore. We might make them into ingots before we send them there. We'll just figure out how the math is going to work out in our favor. But this whole structure is going to be bottom to top, the entire process for building turbo motors. And it's going to be a big project. It's going to be a big building. It's going to be in a really cool place. It's going to be the neatest thing that we've ever done. We're going to use drones. We're going to use trains. It's going to be awesome. So be sure to follow that. Again, I want to do a lot of it on live stream, so be sure to have notifications turned on. I would love to have you guys there. It's going to be so neat and it's going to be fun to do. And I'm not going to pre-build this off screen. A lot of times I work out like dimensions on things. I want to do this live. I want you to be there to see the mental processes that go on working through these kinds of problems and figuring them out, from scratch. And that's why this is going to be a multi-episode project. It's going to be multiple streams. So hopefully you will come back and check that out and enjoy the trip as we go through it. And I can't wait to get started on it. So thank you so very much for coming out. Be sure to leave a like on your way out. And I'm looking forward to seeing you guys in the future. So thanks for watching. And either see you in the next episode or see you live. If you enjoyed this, you may want to check out one of these other videos. And thank you very much for your time.